Welcome to this meeting of the regular meeting of the Albion City Council, Monday, October 15th, 2018. If you have a cell phone, I ask that you place it on silent. I call this meeting to order, and we will observe a moment of silence. Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk Domingo, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Barnes.
Here.
Reed. Here. Brown.
Here.
Lawler.
Here.
Spicer.
Here.
French.
Here.
And Mayor Brown.
Here. We'll move on to presentations. We have one item under presentations, Red Ribbon Week proclamation. So I'll come down and read that. Okay. Give. Okay. City of Albion celebrates Red Ribbon Week, October 23rd through the 31st, 2018. Whereas alcohol and other drug abuse in the nation has reached epidemic stages, and whereas it is imperative that visible and united prevention education efforts by community members be launched to eliminate the demand for drugs, and whereas Substance Abuse Prevention Services is sponsoring the National Red Ribbon Campaign, offering citizens the opportunity to demonstrate their commitment to drug-free lifestyles, no use of illegal drugs, no illegal use of legal drugs, and whereas the National Red Ribbon Campaign will be celebrated in every community in America during this week, and whereas business, government, parents, law enforcement, media, medical, religious institutions, schools, senior citizens, service organizations, and youth demonstrate their commitment to healthy, drug-free lifestyles by wearing and displaying red ribbons during this week-long campaign. And whereas the City of Albion further commits its support to ensure the success of the Red Ribbon Campaign, now therefore be it resolved that the Albion City Council does hereby proclaim October 23rd through the 31st of 2018 as Red Ribbon Week, and encourages its citizens to participate in drug prevention education activities, making a visible statement that we are strongly committed to a drug-free state.
Before we go on, can I also acknowledge our coalition members that are here? I know I saw Mike and the coalition members that are part of the substance abuse. And also I see our prosecutor, who is always ready and available. Also, I want to acknowledge the parents of these young people that are here. Can you raise your hand, please? I know they look like students, but they're actually parents. Take their birth certificates. And I also want to say before these young people get started, we want to acknowledge the great work that our public safety officers do all over the county and particularly in our local community of Albion. So, Chief, here, thank you, sir. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to who's going to be our speaker for today. And also, I should acknowledge our teacher for our class here, Ms. Ritchie. You want to say something before young people go? Sure. All right, it's all yours, sir.
All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Ever Smith. Hello, welcome everybody. My name is Ever Smith.
My name is Carter Barnett. My name is Gail Thomas. My name is Alec Bergwalt. We're from the MMS Student Leadership and Ms. Ritchie's 7th and 8th grade class.
Today, we want to give you a brief introduction to Red Ribbon Week and why all of you should support this campaign. Roughly 30 years ago, a DEA officer by the name of Enrique Camarena was undercover in Mexico and successfully eradicated lots of drug production operations. As a result of his success, this made drug traffickers mad and wanting revenge. Then sadly, on February 7th, 1985, he was abducted and murdered. After his death, people wanted to honor his sacrifice. Local celebrations began in California, where Camarena grew up. As a tribute to Camarena during local celebrations, his friend Henry Lozana and Congressman Duncan Hunter wore red ribbons to show their opposition to drugs. In 1988, the NFP, or also known as the National Family Partnership, established and promoted Red Ribbon Week in his honor. Red Ribbon Week is not only the oldest, but the largest drug prevention campaign in the entire country. So whenever you see someone wearing or hanging red ribbons, it's a symbol of commitment and to raise awareness of the killing and destruction caused by drugs in America. Because of this, we will continue spreading awareness at Marshall and Albion family fairs, and we will be hanging up ribbons on lampposts and flagposts, both in Albion and Marshall, as well as passing out ribbons to all staff and students at Marshall Middle School. We would also like to leave you guys a ribbon here as well to show your support to our committee. Thank you for your time. From MMS 7th and 8th grade student leadership class.
I'd just like to take a few minutes to thank everybody for their support. We've had Mr. Bonner working with my student leadership class now for the third year on this campaign, and I think it's made a huge impact on the student body at Marshall Middle School as well as the communities of Albion and Marshall. So thank you for your support.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, we will move on to the public hearing. Public hearing, abandonment of the right-of-way located at Albion City and the various locales indicated there. I'm going to open the public hearing. Are there any public comments on this public hearing this evening? We ask that you state your name and address and for 3-minute comments relative to this issue. Are there any comments relative to the public hearing?
Eric Tobin, 409 West Ash. I just wanted to continue to ask for and hopefully get your support to make this happen for our family. Thank you.
Just, 1 second. Okay, seeing no further comment, I'm going to close the public hearing, and we'll have the discussion from the manager or the attorney. Who wants to? Because we're not approving.
No, not tonight.
Okay, so there's no further discussion on that. That's not on the agenda as an action item. Public comments. Persons addressing the City Council, we ask that you limit your comments to no more than 3 minutes. We ask that you observe proper decorum and state your name and address. These are for agenda items only. Are there any public comments this evening on the agenda? Okay. Seeing no public comment, we'll move on to the consent calendar. Item A, approval of regular session minutes for October 1st, 2018. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay. Items for individual discussion. Item A, request approval for medical marijuana provisioning center license for Pincana RX Albion, Inc.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Okay. Attorney Harkness.
So this is, obviously we've done several of these in the past. This is, I believe, the first one that's come to council as relates to provisioning center. All the department heads have reviewed the application. My office has done a comprehensive review of the application. The applicant has met all the criteria set forth in the ordinance. It's my understanding the Planning Commission approved it last month on the 18th, so the application is recommended for approval.
Okay. And there's been a site selection.
I'm sorry?
A site selection. Could you speak to just the district that?
My understanding is both of these are going up on Michigan Ave?
Eaton.
No, Eaton Street, excuse me. Eaton Street.
Which is
One is the former Burger King site, and I believe the other one is right next door.
okay. And this is in B3, correct?
That would be B3.
Okay. Okay. Are there any discussion from council? Councilmember Spicer.
Thank you. Attorney Harkness,
Wait 1 second. Can we please be quiet so we can hear the discussion? Thank you, Councilmember Spicer.
thank you, Mayor. Attorney Harkness indicated the Burger King site and right next door. As far as my understanding, next door would be the Mexican restaurant. Is that what you're referring to?
It's,
or-
I remember they're very close to each other. This particular one is 1508 North Eaton Street.
Thank you.
But they're both very close to each other.
Okay, yep, next door. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Councilmember French.
Thank you. So presumably they're building a new one, or they're both going into the same building? Because there is no building next to the Burger King, so is one of
Yeah,
them?
correct.
Okay.
Councilmember Barnes.
Was there a name change with this company?
Not to my knowledge. I think it's always been Pincana RX since the time of application, as far as I'm aware.
Well, I might be referring to another applicant.
There are several that have somewhat similar names, but I don't believe this one has changed.
Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. So I want to be clear on where these are. One is the old Burger King building, and what is the second location?
Maria's is, I guess,
Which is next to
O'Reilly's.
Family Fair, the grocery store.
A&W restaurant.
Right, it used to be A&W. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Spicer.
Thank you, Mayor. So then, is there an anticipated or expected opening completion date, Attorney Harkness, or is there no time frame been provided?
we have not gotten a time frame.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion from council? Councilmember French.
Thank you, Mayor. Everyone on the council knows my opposition to dispensaries in Albion, so, and given what we've experienced in our presentation today, I will be voting no. I just don't think it's right for Albion that we have dispensaries of marijuana, medical or otherwise. I understand the arguments for and against, and I respect everyone's decision to vote in the affirmative, but I will be voting no.
So, Councilmember Reed.
That is right next to Family Fair, where is a grocery store. And
and right next to Taco Bell, where a lot of young people go to eat. And this is what we're going to be doing.
Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. So Family Fare has a pharmacy inside of it. What we are looking to improve is a medical facility for people who have medical needs and a medical prescription who should be able to get their medicine without judgment. So that's my position on this, Mayor.
Is there any further discussion from council? Councilmember Barnes.
I'm going to be voting yes. I'm a firm believer that prohibition can cause more problems with alcohol than necessary. Alcohol is legal today. There has been many studies on marijuana, the effects. The Native Americans used it years ago as medicinal purposes. And right now, the location is zoned properly, so we do have all of our legal ducks in a row. And I can yield to our attorney for a legal opinion if I have misstated. We're in a legal position to do this.
The council designated the B3 area as an area for, I believe, everything except for grow operations, and so they're in the B3 area.
And if I remember correctly, we also limited the licenses to 2, correct, in that
For
district?
the city, there will only be 2 provisioning center licenses issued
Okay.
out of the total 20 that the city has authorized.
Okay. And if council were to approve this, this would bring the total number of licenses granted to what, 16?
So far, we'll have 12. I mean, we've
Okay.
had 14 applications, but only 12
Okay.
have made it through the process.
Okay.
And there is already another application pending for the other provisioning license.
Okay. Councilmember Reed.
I don't think when I said what I said, I meant it to be saying that it would be judgmental. What I'm saying is there's a lot of people who are in need of medical marijuana who would not want everybody knowing that they were in need of medical marijuana or that they were having to use it. I realize that it is necessary for some people's health, but I'm not talking about being judgmental as to how I see them. That's the whole thing you're trying to avoid. You're trying to help these people get what they need to live a comfortable life. I think when you come in with the recreational marijuana is when you got the judgment, but not with the medical.
Are there any further discussion from council this evening? Okay. Seeing none, I'd ask for a roll call vote, please. Clerk Domingo.
Councilmember Barnes,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Lawler,
Yes.
Spicer,
Yes.
French,
No.
and Mayor Brown.
Yes. We've approved the issuance of the provisioning center license in item A. Item B, discussion approval, first reading ordinance number 2018-08, an ordinance to provide a code of ethics for the city council and to create section 1-28 of the Albion Code of Ordinances. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Support.
Okay, moved in second.
Just to interject, just because we always have this issue, could we have
Oh,
council
yes.
turn in their
The applications.
application packets?
Oh. Councilman French.
Thank you. Since I wasn't at the meeting on October 1st, I look in the council minutes, and there's a whole bunch of sections that were received as part of Section E of the last time. And my question is, has any of these issues been adjusted in the new Code of Ethics, or are we looking at the same document that was approved on October 1st?
Well, we didn't approve those for discussion. I think those issues were raised. If now that it's before us, we can do any kind of amendments if necessary, and that.
Okay, so we're doing real-time amendments rather than.
Yeah, the comments that were in the minutes were from one council person, so there was a discussion. Yeah.
And does the new Code of Ethics reflect
No. But, so, yeah, we just had a discussion at our last meeting.
Okay.
Okay, is there any discussion, or actually, Attorney Harkness, if you'd like to kind of review
Sure.
once
So
more.
Just as a brief summary, if the council recalls, several weeks ago, we had samples from various municipalities of their ethics ordinance, Charlotte,
Hamtramck,
and
Allegan.
and some other ones, and we went through and we identified those areas that, and I believe Emmett Powell actually had an outline as well, and we went through and we identified those key areas to include, and so what you have before you is a draft based upon certain sections from those various municipalities, and it includes everything. They're all consistent with the charter. They include disclosure, conflicts of interest, acting in the public interest, not using public resources for any private benefits. The council identified having maintaining the policy role of the council, independence of boards and commissions, things like that. And there is an enforcement section that has incrementally increasing penalties for violation of the ordinance. That was largely adapted, I think, from Allegan. And so that's what you have before you. I'm certainly happy to make any changes that the council wants to make or render any advice, but
Okay.
that's about it.
Thank you, Attorney Harkness. Councilmember French.
So with respect to Section B, compliance with the law, members of the City Council shall comply with the laws of the United States, the State of Michigan, and the City of Albion in the performance of their public duties. With respect to marijuana use, they are not in concert with each other. So whose rule will reign supreme? Federal law says that marijuana use is illegal, and so, but state has approved its medical use. So my question is it in this ethics statement, if the laws are not compatible, which law are we following?
In this particular case, though, it's in the performance of their public duties. So would someone be, for example, at a public function or at a council meeting and engaging in marijuana use?
Or if they came because they are allowed to use medical marijuana and they're taking it for pain, and so they would be under the influence of marijuana, that would be a federal violation, but not a state violation.
But in the context of the ordinance, we're basically going to be, the council would be enforcing the ordinance on its members. So if the other council members were aware of that medical condition, certainly another council member could bring that to the council's attention. But if someone's in excruciating pain, if they're dealing with some form of cancer or something like that, I think that
I understand that.
Yeah.
But I think that if you, I'm not opposed to having it in there. But my concern is that if we are adopting a code of ethics that's based on the law, then we have to understand whether or not which law we're following. Otherwise, it becomes a vote of the council as to whether or not that violation is going to be not unethical. That's all. I'm just asking that question.
Attorney Harkness, quick question. The city exists because of the state, correct? Okay, it's a creature of the state.
Right.
Okay.
That's sort of where I'm going.
Okay.
Like, get rid of the federal part because we're a body of the state.
Well, I think I'm fine with it because all of us here at some point have kind of stood right there and taken sworn an oath to defend the U.S. Constitution and the state Constitution. So I think I have no problem leaving it in. I think this is something that lots of communities across the country have to contend with. If you can make a motion, if you think we should change it, we can vote on it.
Well, I think that there's got to be a way we can change the wording that says, comply with the laws of the United States. The state constitution doesn't break out the individual laws, and so we could. we could say something like, members of the city council shall comply with their oaths of office in, you know, and protect ourselves. I'm just worried that.
I think that what saves what you're talking about, Councilman French, is the fact that references in the performance of your public duties.
Okay.
So if you're acting, I mean, I have difficulty fathoming a circumstance where a council member would be at a function or at a meeting and they're either using or possessing a federally controlled substance. I just can't picture. Now, in the privacy of their own home,
right?
Sure.
Right. No, I
if
understand.
they happen to come to a meeting,
right?
But they're not using at the meeting or possessing at the meeting.
Okay.
Then that's something different. But I mean, that's just my perspective.
Okay. Thank you.
Are there any other discussion? Councilmember Barnes.
Yes. I dropped the ball. Last time we had our assistant city clerk, and she was taking the minutes, and I should have requested that this information made it over to the attorney. I talked to Cullen today, and the information didn't reach him. I had several concerns last time that I voiced. I have a few questions for our city attorney, and I did talk to Cullen, so he knew where I was coming from today. Is this the same version of the draft ordinance offered at the last regular city council meeting? What consideration was given to the input provided by the public at that city council meeting? What consideration was given to the numerous comments I myself offered 2 weeks ago at that council meeting? If no consideration is given and no changes are made as a result of public comments or council member comments during discussion, what is the point? What are we saying to the public when we ignore their comments? Why does the ordinance still include provision for acting in the capacity of law enforcement and the court system? What is the basis for defining so-called lack of respect for process as an ethics question? Robert's Rules of Order and the Charter are sufficient to regulate respect for process. Are we seriously going to include the undefined failure to prepare for public meetings as an ethical violation? Zero language in this questionable ordinance to address any of the following serious ethical issues are but failure to prepare for a meeting. What about attempts to influence, sway, or otherwise unduly affect the vote of a fellow council member or council members other than during an open council meeting? Attempts to circumvent the Open Meetings Act by communicating with individual council members. Number 4, why doesn't this ordinance specifically include the prohibition of members from voting on a motion or to table or postpone the vote on a motion where that member or their immediate family member is the subject of the motion? Number 5, why doesn't this ordinance require every council member to disclose any and all existing relationships, personal, financial, or other between any voting council member and any individual or business interest that is the subject of a motion? Number 6, I want to be able to say, Jill, I have a copy for you if you need. Okay. Number 6, why is it unethical for a city council member to berate a city employee, wasn't me, but it's okay to berate citizens? The workplace for council member is the city dealing with the public. City officials should be expected to set the example for civility. Dealing with the public is part of official duties and constitutes the elected official's workplace. Why are there no rules of evidence or procedure? Those are the comments, and I would like to see these changed in this ordinance. Yes, other cities do, in fact, have ethics ordinance. But if we put this through, it will be self-governing, and you could actually target a council person. I don't see Chief Kip here, but I do a lot of things in my community outside of being a councilman that I've shared with Ms. Reed and some other people, where we have had crimes committed, and I get information from the streets, and I bring it to the police department. And I have to be in some places that would be seen as unsavory to get that information. It's defined as covert activity. Yes, Ms. Reed was concerned with my health, stated I could get killed. My position in my community is we can police our community. And if you see me somewhere, you can say, well, Maurice Barnes was over here, blah, blah, blah. I'm gonna tell you I was there if you ask me. But I think that it could bring undue results into some investigation with the city and be unfair to that council person who may be there under some covert activity. Thank you.
Okay. To just, I guess, address some of those. The point of the discussion we have right now is for essentially legislation, which this is, to be amended, changed, modified. We have a procedure for doing that, which is, motions. So if you're any of those changes that you would like to make, you can make a motion, and we can have a discussion on them and vote on them. So that is the process by which we take in public comment. It's heard by the members of the council, and if we agree or feel there's something that needs to be included or modified, this is our moment actually to make those changes. There was a thing about comment about the Open Meetings Act. I think this might fall under what Attorney Harkness said earlier about that clause there in the performance of their public duties, right? So, if you're a council member, you're discussing city business, then you're going to have to follow the laws of the state, which include the Michigan's Open Meetings Act. So, I think there is. You mentioned lack of a requirement to disclose certain financial ties, but I think that's what Section E does. It does exactly what you were saying was not there. It says it repeats what the charter says, which is we can't act on a matter if you have a direct or indirect financial interest, and it actually goes further than the charter to include some other categories of interest. So that is included in the ordinance. Let's see. This does not make the council the sole, the final arbiter of what's happened. At the end, if a member is found in violation of the ordinance, they ultimately have the option to appeal to the circuit court. So that is included in here. So there is a judicial review component, and ultimately, this is a good faith effort. To my knowledge, the city has not had a code of ethics before. Not that we're aware of. And so I think this is a really great opportunity to demonstrate to the public an ethical commitment by the council to do our business in the public's best interest. So, Councilmember Barnes.
Thank you. You addressed three of the issues. I numbered 7, and I had 3 executive questions. However, I would like to see this tabled until we sat down and discussed it more, because right now I think that we're in a meeting where we really haven't all gotten together on the same page as a consensus that we want to move forward and not change some of this. Councilman French, he was absent.
Yeah, but I've read it, so.
Yeah,
okay, I'm just trying to make my point. He wasn't here at that meeting. He said he read it. However, right now, this is not, for me, we're moving too fast with this ordinance. I don't have any problem with having an ethics ordinance, but still, there's some situations in here where there can be bias against 1 or 2 council people if you wanted to just, bring them on the carpet. I would like it to be where it's definitive. So I'm thinking we should have a small hour study session or something to see just where everyone is, because I asked, do we have drug testing in here just like the public safety, and it's not in here. I said that at the last meeting. I think that we should all have to take drug tests, just like our other city employees, and it's not in here.
So a couple of things. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Attorney Harkness has provided to the council at least 2 packets before we had the study session, examples of code of ethics for, I think, Battle Creek, Allegan, Hamtramck, Charlotte. There's several of them. So those have been in 2 packets before we had the study session. We had a sole session of the council solely devoted to discuss this, which we kind of went through methodically and picked out what we liked, and we instructed the attorney to draft it. He drafted it, so we've had copies from other cities in 2 packets. We've had a study session already. We had it on the agenda last week as a discussion item, and as Councilmember French just said, we've had copies for it so that we could read it and study it. So, you can, the appropriate, if you have a concern with the agenda item or the ordinance, the appropriate thing is to make a motion to amend a particular section of it, or you can make a motion to postpone it. But there is a remedy available to you as a council person to do that if you feel that is what you'd like to see done. Councilmember Barnes.
Thank you. I'm not going to make any motions. I'm going to just go on record to say that, yeah, it's fine that other cities have ordinances voted on by their council to fit their particular cities. We are a standalone home rule city, and we will make our own rules for this. However, why wouldn't this council want drug drops, random drug drops? I mean, the other cities didn't have it, so why can't we have it to set a precedent? But I'm going to be quiet and let y'all do that. Thank you.
Is there any further public comment, or not public, council discussion on the ethics ordinance? Councilmember French.
Thank you. I really like what you've done, Cullen. I really do. Thank you for clarifying Section B for me. I'm worried about the level in subsection 15 regarding the sanctions.
Section N, subsection.
I'm sorry,
Just-
N, yes. Section.
You can just give the page number.
Sorry, it's on page 5, sorry. It's the second to last item before we move forward. If these sanctions are connected to the work or violations of the work as a city council person, I would like us to think of those sanctions as sort of work without, being fined your paycheck. And so I just think that for some council members, given that for some that's a significant fine, I'd just like to be able to maybe tie it to, shall be fined, a civil fine not to exceed more than 1 month's pay, which would be 2 meetings worth. And that be consistent throughout, right? Level 1 is the same as level 2.
I think level 1's 100.
Right, no, I know, I understand that. But it goes from 100 to 500. So what I'd like it to see is that it go from, that you don't get paid for that meeting, so whatever that cost is, or is that $86 or whatever it is. And then the second one is 2 meetings, and the third one is 4 meetings or something, so that it...
I think the only, and Attorney Harkness can probably help us here, so how do I say it? The council doesn't set its own compensation. There's the local officers compensation committee, which is a state-approved city board that sets our salaries.
Right.
But is there any conflict if can we intervene to actually take a council person's?
That's something I'd have to look into.
Well, I'm not...
Whether or not we can withhold payment.
Yeah. Councilmember.
Because of a violation.
I'm not saying, I'm sorry.
Councilman
I'm not
French.
saying we would withhold a paycheck.
Okay.
But we make the fine that level.
To what it would have been.
Right, exactly. So your first sanction, you are fined the equivalent of 1 meeting's worth of compensation. Second time it happens, it becomes 2 meetings worth of compensation. And the third becomes 4 meetings.
Okay.
Right, so it's increasing, but it's connected. There's a psychological connection between the violation and your compensation, rather than just a blanket 100 to 500 to 500.
I think council members we're just paid monthly. I don't think we're paid per meeting. But
Right,
Attorney,
but we know what our salary is, our stipend is based on 2 meetings a month, so we know exactly what we're getting paid per month. If we have extra meetings, that's different, but
Councilmember, Attorney Harkness.
So what I would suggest is if the council goes that way, and that's fine, I mean, you can certainly manipulate the fine numbers. My one suggestion would be not to land on an odd number like $86. Like, if you want to keep, I would make it a nice round number, like in increments of either 100 or 50. So if you want to lower it to make it closer to that number, but I wouldn't put in a number like $86.
Right.
I would do maybe like 100 for the first violation, 250 or 200 for the second. I mean, you can certainly manipulate them, but I would put a round figure on it, or either increments of 50 or 100 or something like that.
Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. I like the 100. I'm not opposed to staggering them a little closer instead of the jump from 100 to 5. I'm not opposed to amending that, but I'm kind of okay with where it is too. The whole purpose of this code of ethics is to deter people on council from acting unethically. That's the whole purpose of it. It's not to adopt this to say, well, if you do violate, we want to keep you financially comfortable. So no, we don't want you to violate it. So that's where I am.
And it provides a method to, to enforce the rules of council and a certain ethical standard. So I asked for maybe 300. Maybe we could put the second one as at 300. Bring that down to 3, so it goes 135. Is there a motion to do that?
So moved.
Is there a second?
support.
Is there any discussion about that? So the first level violation would be 100. The second would be moved lower from 500 to 300, and then for the third violation, that would stay at 500. Is there any, Councilmember Lawler and Councilmember Spicer?
Thank you, Mayor. I would really have to agree with what was said by Councilmember French. I do understand what Councilmember Brown is saying. We definitely don't want you to keep trying to keep violating the code of ethics, but I really would not mind the 100, the 200 to the 300. I mean, because going off my income, 300 to 500 is a lot of money to me. I'm not saying that I will violate anything, but that is a lot of money. Mm-hmm. I know it's probably it would be uncomfortable and it would make me pay attention, but if I am violating anything that the public is paying me for, I think the public should get their money back. I shouldn't get that compensation. If I'm acting up at a meeting, I should be fined for that meeting. So I just agree with Councilmember French.
Councilmember Spicer, and then Attorney Harkness.
Thank you, and I'm totally opposite of Councilwoman Spicer. Lawler, I think that the $100 fine isn't a big deterrent. I'm thinking it probably should be even more, starting more than that at the the monthly amount that stipend that is received, and increased for each offense. I mean, 2 violation for level 2 violation is the same as a level 3. I mean, in terms of the amount. So I think I'd like to see a staggered amount, but I could be okay with this as written.
Okay. Attorney. Okay. Okay. So what we have on the floor right now is an amendment that would stagger it at 100, 300, and 500. So what we'll do is just do a quick, there's no further discussion, vote of that, and then roll call of that, and then we'll go back to the main motion. So Clerk Domingo, thank you.
Councilmember Brown,
Did you say Brown? I'm sorry. Yes.
Lawler,
135.
Yeah.
No.
Spicer,
No.
French,
Yes.
Barnes,
No.
Reed,
Yes.
and Mayor Brown.
Yes. So we've amended.
No.
Huh?
Wait, did you get 4?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So the amendment has passed. We're now back to the main, and you've noted that?
Yep.
Okay. So we're now back to the main motion of approval of this ordinance with that amendment for the staggered penalties. Are there any other motions or to amend the document this evening? Councilmember, or discussion, Councilmember Lawler.
And what we're getting ready to vote on now is the 1, 3, and 5.
Or no, we just did that. So we're voting on the entire document.
The entire document.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Okay. Seeing none, this would be the first reading of this ordinance. I'd ask for a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Lawler,
Yes.
Spicer,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Barnes,
No.
Reed,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
and Mayor Brown.
Yes, we have approved this code of ethics, and it will come back for a second reading, hopefully at our next council meeting. Yeah, okay. Okay. Request approval, second reading, item C, excuse me. An adoption of ordinance number 2018-09, an ordinance to amend Chapter 19 of the 1984 zoning code of the City of Albion, and it lists the various sections that would be amended subsequent to that. So is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Do you want to?
Sure. So this, it is a lot of pages that basically boils down to amending the zoning ordinance to allow for provisioning center.
Okay.
That is it.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Okay. Councilman French.
Thank you. Given that this council has voted, provisioning reason why.
Okay.
Moving on.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Okay. See, we'll ask a roll call vote. I'll ask for a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Spicer,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Lawler,
Yes.
and Mayor Brown.
Yes. We've approved those amendments to the Code of Ordinances. Item D, request approval of waiver, second right of refusal on the Calhoun County foreclosed properties. Do they have it?
Give us.
Okay. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, moved in second. Is there any discussion? These are basically the properties that tax reverted, and we have right of first refusal. So, and is Jim here? Yeah. Jim. Oh. Okay.
Stand up, Jim.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Yeah. Just properties that want to allow for.
I believe so.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Just a quick.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Seeing no further discussion, I'd ask for a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember French,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Lawler,
Yes.
Spicer,
Yes.
and Mayor Brown.
Yes. We've approved that the waiver of second right of refusal under item D. Item E, approved trick or treat on Wednesday, October 31st, 2018, from 6 to 8 p.m. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Moved in second. Any discussion?
We can voice vote this, right?
Okay. Yeah, well, yeah, that's fine. Okay, seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say yes. Yes. Any opposed? Okay. The motion is adopted, passes. Item F, request approval of replacement of City Hall boiler, cost for asbestos abatement. Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Okay.
I was giving you the chance.
Moved and seconded.
Boiler.
Well, okay, moved and seconded.
Wasn't paying attention.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, sorry.
Council, in your package, you should have had 3 estimates for a boiler replacement. One would have been from the Hearst Mechanical Company for $62,614. We received a second one from Technical Hot and Cold out of Westland, Michigan, $84,750. The third one that should have been in your packet was from the Hunter Prell Company
We got it.
from Battle Creek for $57,557. Now, what I will say, so that everybody's aware, is that that does not include asbestos abatement. There's a fair amount of asbestos not only in the boiler, but around the boiler.
Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. Are you saying none of these 3 quotes include that?
None of those are included.
Okay, in any of these?
Correct. Correct. I should know numbers midday tomorrow on the asbestos abatement. Hopefully we'll fall in fairly decently. I will say that they're going to have to take the boiler apart because it has gaskets between sections in the boiler that are made of asbestos. So,
Councilmember French.
So is the asbestos abatement being done by each of, added to this, or is it a separate company doing that abatement?
I've requested a quote from a separate company.
Councilmember Barnes, Councilmember Spicer.
How you doing, Jim?
Good evening, Councilman Barnes.
So this is necessary and required for us to keep this building up and running, right?
Correct. The current boiler's been tagged out of service because it's dangerous. There's a risk of explosion, basically.
Yeah, I remember a couple of years back, we went down and had an inspection also. They took us down there to see it. So for me and you, I mean, we just need to prove it.
Exactly.
Thank
I will add that the boiler's currently 41 years old.
Thank you.
Councilmember Spicer, Councilmember Brown.
Also, I'm assuming this is absolutely necessary, Jim, that we approve this tonight with absent the asbestos?
The asbestos will be in addition to the costs you see before you currently. It's a separate item. The people that are going to install the boiler do not do asbestos abatement. We have to have a special company come in and do that. As I say, I should have surprise.
Thank you, Mayor. So, I think we know what's necessary. For of the 3, have we done business with any of them prior to the one that you're recommending over the others, or?
2 of the companies, Hearst Mechanical and Hunter Prell, we've both done business with before. My recommendation, obviously, was going to be the lower price to start with, and Hunter Prell is based in Battle Creek, so if we do have close, the Hearst Mechanical out of the area, if I remember right.
How do you, so can you talk about where that's from? And
I haven't broached that subject because, as I recall, basic counsel is give approval to fund balance and purchase the regular.
Okay.
Last question. How quickly can you get this here?
That will be my first phone call in the morning.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
And then, like I said, that final question. So, I know the asbestos remediation potentially could be expensive. I mean, when's the earliest that? Because I would imagine they can't start working on that until they've removed it, correct?
I don't know what their schedule currently is, but I will get them in here as quickly as I can because that has to be completed before they can finish demolishing the current or existing boiler and install the new one, so.
Okay. Councilmember Brown.
Thank you. So please forgive me for my ignorance because I really don't know. Do we need to shut the building down for that asbestos thing? It would be my thought that nobody should probably be in here.
My understanding of that operation is not. They'll encapsulate the area, wet it down so it doesn't become airborne, capture it, and take it away to an approved landfill.
Okay.
So to answer my question, we're not planning to close the building?
No, we're not planning on shutting City Hall down.
Okay.
It's within its room of itself in the basement to begin with. As I say, they will encapsulate that with plastic. They will wet it. It will not go airborne at that point because it's all going to be adhering to itself. So it will scrape it into bags and remove it.
Councilmember Lawler, Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. If you were to decide to close it, would it be for a day or two? Or
I'm sorry?
would it be for a day or two?
I don't see that happening. If it does, you'll be the first to hear, but I don't see that happening.
Okay. Councilmember Brown. Sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just saying, because I would be really concerned about people being at work while that's going on, but I do understand what you're saying about the plastic and wetting it down.
Right. Normally, that's the practice. They will encapsulate the room in the area they're working in plastic sheeting. They'll wet it down so that it doesn't become airborne. They'll capture it, seal it in correct packaging, and then dispose of it.
Councilmember Brown.
Thank you. So I just hope that this is well communicated to the staff so that they know they're safe if they're going to be in here. For me, I would be concerned.
I understand.
So I'm just encouraging open communication. Let staff know.
Well, my office is in the basement, so I'm concerned too.
Well,
Okay. Did you have Councilmember Reed?
I know you want to go with the lowest price, but is this one got the warranty, or is it as good as the other two? Have you had a chance to check that?
That I have not, because I haven't seen the information for the boiler that this company has been spec'd. Basically, we haven't called this company and said, yes, council's approved you to install this boiler. I'm sure when I do tomorrow that they will get information. In fact, I believe some of the warranties may be in those one or two of them. Again, it's probably a boiler industry standard out there, and whatever they know how long they're going to last. Do the best I can for us.
I was thinking you have to get a little more. It's better.
Right.
More.
It's something all wearable anyway.
Okay.
Thank you.
Further discussion, we'll do a roll call vote.
Councilmember Barnes,
I missed something. Did we say which price we were bidding on?
The low, he was the
Okay,
lowest.
my bad. Yes. Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Brown,
yes.
Lawler,
Yes.
Spicer,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
and Mayor Brown.
Yes, we've approved the replacement of the City Hall boiler. Discussion online code update. Attorney Harkness.
Sure. So as I made mention of at a previous council meeting, so right now the city utilizes a service called Unicode to maintain our online database of ordinances. I mean, obviously we have the clerk's office maintains the hard copies, but in this day and age, pretty much everybody's using the electronic version. The electronic version is only updated through ordinance number 2011-06. So we've got 7 years of ordinances that we're behind on. I talked with Director Tracy earlier. He obtained a quote for, as of December of last year, so not including any of the 2018 ordinances, and the cost from Unicode to update us through December of 17 is about $6,500. There is another service utilized by other municipalities called eCode 360. I don't know if we have a quote on that one. I don't know if Director Tracy's in the back there. He might know. I'm sorry.
Quick question: Is that for? That's a different company.
It's a different company. Some municipalities I've noticed who have previously used Unicode have switched to eCode 360. I believe because of how often they do updates, it tends to be less expensive. I'm not suggesting that the council, update this on a monthly basis, but I mean it's gotten to the point where the public look at ordinances, including you have to pay that. We updated in 7 years, so it's becoming problematic, not just for the public and the staff, but I even get other attorneys that contact me, and it's getting ridiculous.
Yeah, one of the things, I'll just throw this in here for full disclosure. Last fall, I had invited an attorney to come and speak to the council about doing some kind of charter updates. That was one of the points that I wanted to include is to have a minimum year after which it would have to be updated. So we wouldn't go beyond, let's say, 4 years before there was an update. So I appreciate it. So do you have any further information?
John Tracy, Director of Planning, Building, and Code. As Attorney Harkness was saying, that last December I had a quote of actually it was $6,628. I had been back in contact with Unicode. It'll take them through probably close to the end of this month to get back with us with an accurate, updated cost on that, since we have had a number of ordinances passed since then. It runs $19.88 per code. So, but in speaking with them, they said they'll have an updated cost for us at the end of the month. And we did have a quote from E360 before, which was similar in cost. And if council would like, I can have them give us another quote. E360 also does more of they can, if you want to have pictures and such showing some of the distances or things of that nature for examples in the code. So it really depends how much you want to get into, how in depth.
Okay. So when that comes back to us, can we include? Because I know right now we have access to Unicode through a link.
Correct.
Are we paying a subscription to host what is there?
Well, Unicode costs currently, last I knew, I believe it was $700 per year.
Okay, that's just to keep what we have.
Just what we have.
Okay.
Correct, and that's having it on the web.
Okay.
eCode 360. I mean, it's a similar, web-based thing that you would access in virtually the same database format that Unicode uses, just a different service.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So if you could bring that back.
Sure.
We'd appreciate it. Thank you. Discussion of Project Rising Tide. I guess I'll do that. So Rising Tide is a 2-year initiative that the city was selected to participate in. There was a steering committee a couple months ago, and the committee identified 5 areas where we would want to partner with the state to plan and problem solve. And those 5 areas were basically health and wellness, housing, infrastructure, post-industrial sites and then workforce development and training. And what we did at the direction of the state was to our partners at the MEDC, each of those subcommittees met, had public discussions. I participated in infrastructure and housing. And so what we've done is we've taken, we went to those meetings, the subcommittee leaders went into the meetings with some suggestions, and we hashed those out with members of the public and tried to make sense of that. We've received that information, so now our next meeting is scheduled for November 1st to meet with our new liaison at the Michigan Economic Development Corporation to start working on some documentation to go forward. And there's also, I believe, the state provided funds for, I guess, a year-long position to help communities who were selected as Project Rising Tide communities to do some of the implementation work. So there was a position that was posted. I'm not aware of the status of that, but I know that there was a position posted, 1 year duration, in the 50,000 plus range to help spearhead for the city. So, any questions, Councilmember Lawler?
Thank you, Mayor. It's not a question, but I just want to put some information out there that I'm just asking the public to really take the subcommittees very serious. They're asking for your input. One of the things that we have problems with is that I hear in the community a lot is that, well, they make decisions without us. I was told a couple meetings there was no residents or people of the community at a couple of these meetings. So I just really want to encourage people to find out, what you are concerned about the 5 different subcommittees and attend them. Because I'm all about hearing what you want. One of the committees that I share with Councilmember Reed is post-industrial sites. So if anybody from is listening, one of the things that we did is we took radio and we handed out letters saying that we want to invite you, please come with us, that was going to be discussed. So if the same for these other subcommittees, that would be awesome. But I really would appreciate if the community would grab a hold of these subcommittees and be a part of them. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to kind of piggyback off Councilmember Lawler's comments, I know, I think it would be good for us to think about a way to get the community's input for people who cannot make those meetings. I know some of those subcommittees, a couple of them have been during my work hours. I haven't been able to attend. I don't know who's scheduling them, but if you have a job and you work first shift, you're not going to be able to make those, some of them. So I would like for us to think about ways to get the community's input for these subcommunities, for these subcommittees, from residents who work and are unable to make these scheduled meetings.
Thank you. Any further questions or discussions on Project Rising Tide? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to future agenda items. Are there any future agenda items from council? Council. Okay. Any additional future agenda items? Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. So I had asked a few weeks back for a joint meeting with the Housing Commission Board. I know the Commissioner had minutes to do a presentation before I want to say the meeting. So one is to
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any future agenda items? Everyone is here. So we need to excuse any member. Public comments and city council should no more than 3 minutes. If you observe proper decorum, and then also just state your name and address. Are there any public comments this evening?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ethel Holt. I live at 601 West Erie Street in Albion. My husband is Robert Holt. Everyone knows he's 100 years old, but he'll tell you he's 105 months years old. City Council, City Manager, I welcome you. Okay. I have been approached when I retired, asked to come to City Council meetings. I have come to several City Council meetings. Some of them disturbing, very disturbing. But what disturbs me now, I hate politics. Last Monday, the 8th, my husband and I had to go to Battle Creek. We had a 9 o'clock appointment. We got there, they were closed. So we came back the back way. Austin and 27 had signed. There was a truck, there was a white van, whatever it was. So I was a Caucasian man out there taking up Garrett signs. People pay for these signs. So if the signs wasn't supposed to be there, why didn't they tell him so he could take them down? And I think that was wrong because it costs money. And everybody is trying, everybody is doing what they need to do. They say whatever comes from the dark or come to the light, okay? If you're doing it in the light, what you gonna do at night?
No clapping. Okay. Is there any further public comment this evening?
I don't want we had we saw discussion on the urgent care that's they don't have too much information as far as when it's opening up and what type of benefits they have for the senior citizens. And I also, when I went to my doctor's appointment, I found out that indeed they're going to transfer the doctor's office down there also. Now, I spoke to some of the staff out there, and some of their concerns was, and which is mine, handicap parking for the senior citizens, access to parking, period, because I didn't see any parking spaces there. It seems like Albion College students going to take up all that. So my concern would be, where is the parking going to be? Some of the concerns was that by everybody being squished in that small facility, especially the doctor's office, if they move down there, then some of their concerns was that it might hinder some of the health care as far as treating patients. And right as of now, they have a facility out there where a person can go through physical therapy. A lot of their doctor's appointments is out there to the office there, so they can go right from their doctor's appointment into their physical therapy. So if someone could speak to that as a future item, we appreciate it, because I don't know if everybody really sure what benefits they have for the senior citizens, how is that going to benefit us, and one of the main things is access to parking. So if we could do something like that, and if there's any seniors out there, if it's something that you're concerned about, you need to, if this does come on the agenda, then you probably need to be here so that you could express these concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further public comment this evening? Okay, Council.
My name is Richard Johnson. I stay at 323 West Broadwell Street, Albion, Michigan. And I called Guardian because they had discontinued my account, and they told me I had to come to the council meetings to get my service cut off for Guardians to start being built. So this is what I'm here for, to get my service cut off. I asked y'all to cut my service off because they said they couldn't do it. Go to the council meeting. Now, I don't have any garbage now. And I know all y'all will not pay for service that you don't have.
Vice Mayor Granger. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Is there any further public comment this evening? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to City Manager report.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Latanya Rufus. I'm the new city manager. I'm really glad and thankful to be here this evening. I don't really have a report for any of you this evening. Just know that I'm excited about the opportunity. I will welcome anyone who needs to come and see me and talk to me in my office. However, we do ask that you sign in at the front counter to ensure that I am providing everybody the ample opportunity to meet with me. So I would like to have scheduled appointments so we can do things decently and in order. But as much as I can do to assist with any projects or programs in town, I'm more than willing to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome to Albion. Mayor and council member comments. Are there any comments this evening? Yeah, that's a good. Did you?
No.
Okay, so Councilmember French, Councilmember Barnes.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of comments regarding the new Oaklawn After Hours Clinic and doctor's office that's going to be opening up in the Munger building on East Michigan. It's my understanding that the number of parking spaces at the new clinic will be the same as the number of parking spaces at the existing doctor's office on B Drive. The college and Oaklawn Hospital are partnering together to make sure that those parking spaces are not going to be used by college students. And with regard to what services that are going to be there, the thing that is the advantage of the new facility is that they will be open after 5 and on Saturdays. So there will be clinic hours. They haven't, I don't think that they finalized those yet, but the last time I heard it was going to be hours until 9 or so o'clock, maybe 10 in the evening, and then Saturday hours. So that's the advantage to the move. With regard to partnering physical therapy and doctor visits, I'm not aware at this time whether or not physical therapy will be moving. But I would encourage our city council and our city manager to invite Richard Lindsay, who is the community development person for Oaklawn Hospital, to come and give a presentation, perhaps at the next council meeting. Last I heard was that the clinic will be opening in January or February of this year, of this next year, conditional, of course, on finishing the renovation. So,
Councilmember Barnes, and then Councilmember Lawler.
My topic today is some election violations, and I'm sincerely asking everyone in the campaign and their camps to take a step back. It's getting to a level where there has been physical attacks. My truck tires were slashed. I just went and bought some new ones. I didn't even contact the police department. A female was positively identified as removing my signs from a private residence. I wouldn't press charges. It's not that serious. You know, I just wanted my signs back, but I just decided, hey, leave it alone. My signs have been destroyed, destruction. Some candidates are campaigning in precinct 1, and they're making false and misleading statements concerning my voting on the roads to my constituents. And I told my constituents, I would clear it up today. This council took a vote in 2018 to do Austin Avenue and North Street if that funding came in, and I wanted my streets to be done in 2018. And I did, in fact, vote against them being done in 2020 because I waited 3 times. Superior Street had to be done twice, and by law, I had to yield because you have to have the matching money when they come in, that's their problem. I think 5 years ago, myself and a mayor, a city manager, and a director of streets and service, we met at 5 o'clock, and they told me my streets would be done. Got here at 7 o'clock, my streets weren't on the agenda, and I hit the season, but I'm still fighting to get them done, so that clears that up. I just think we need to take a step back. I had to take self-examination. I mean, I was in a position to bring charges against a female and her family. It ain't that serious, Junior. I mean, and, you know, threatening me, slashing my truck tire, it ain't that serious, but it's getting out of hand. I mean, I would love, did we just stop? Thank you.
Councilman Brown. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. Councilman Lawler. I apologize.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to add that I did invite Mr. Lindsay to come and do a presentation about the new after-hours healthcare clinic, and he did address some of the issues, but maybe not all the issues that Mr. Arnold had. So just to say that he did come do a presentation, it doesn't mean I'm sure he would come and do another one. He's just that kind of nice guy. As far as I've got election signs, Mayor, I've gotten a couple complaints about them being in precincts that maybe a candidate doesn't live in. I don't know the law of that. Our clerk can help me with it, and I can take it back to who has a concern for it. That will be helpful to me because I don't know if it is allowed to be any and everywhere. With that being said, thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. So, Councilmember Lawler, you spoke on the urgent care facility. The council was invited maybe a week ago. Has it been that long? I can't remember.
A couple weeks.
Sometime not too long ago to tour the facility. It's in the very early stages of being redeveloped, but I know Mr. Lindsay did share with us that there's parking in the back of the building, the parking lot, and that it will be after hours and open from, all day, and then an addition from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. and with Saturday hours, and they were looking to open in January of 2019. I also wanted to take the opportunity to I agree with Councilmember Barnes. I think, Albion is in a crucial time. We all know that. The upcoming election is important. We all know that. But what we have to remember is that we all live together. We're going to live together after the election. So we might as well start trying to unify now. There's no way we're going to survive if we continue to be divided and attacking each other and lying and just, it's crazy. And it has gotten out of hand. It's been out of hand. It didn't just start. This has been going on for a good year, 2 years now, and it's sickening. So I do echo those sentiments. I also want to take this time to welcome our new city manager, Ms. Rufus. Very happy to have you on board. I know you started this week. You hit the ground running. We greatly appreciate it. We're very happy to have you here. Welcome to Albion. We are an awesome community, and I'm looking forward to working with you to move our community forward. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Barnes.
I'm going to steal this line from The Godfather when Al Pacino said, every time I try to get out of it, they pull me right back in. My signs, Maurice Barnes Jr., are all over Albion. I did that as a marketing plan to get my name out there. It's it's always good to get your name out there. I might want to run for mayor one year, and so now my signs are out there. A couple years back, an official contacted Harry Lowe and Marshall, our election clerk, with a complaint that my signs were out of my district. It's totally legal to do that. Us seasoned veterans, we know the rules. We know we need to act before we put our signs in somebody's yards. We know we're not supposed to put them in private property. So I got my signs everywhere. It is legal, and I'm glad that came up because it needs to be addressed. So I'm just trying to move forward. I just want to be a voice of reason in this campaign. Thank you.
Seeing no further comments, I would just advise residents to be really aware there are a lot of events going on. I know Eggs and Issues is back on this month. I know there's the chili cook-off. I know there's the NAACP banquet going on. There's a 90th church anniversary, I want to say this coming Sunday at Macedonia Baptist Church. There's a 150-year anniversary for St. Paul Lutheran Church towards the end of the month on the 28th. There's a lot going on in October, so please make sure that you keep yourselves informed about what's going on in the community. With that being said, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Support.
Okay, moved and supported. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Any opposed? The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.